So that concludes the formal presentations we have, and now we open this up to public testimony. Because of the lateness of the hour, I'm going to limit the testimony to 2 minutes per person. If you want to speak, you can go to that microphone and speak. We also will accept electronic communications. Again, the website is air.senate.ca.gov. And if you want to speak publicly, please go ahead and give us your name and place of residence.
My name is Lise Kral, and I live at 724 Millwood Avenue, Venice. I've lived there for 20 years, and this is a video of my house, my backyard. This is my daily exposure to the airplanes. This is maybe a mile away from the airport. This is a mile and a half away from the airport. And I'm here to expand your idea of air pollution. Noise is in the air, which makes it a form of air pollution. It is emitted just like carbon. In research I did about noise pollution, aircraft noise was usually mentioned first, not because of alphabetical order. It was first before railroads, trucks, buses, autos, and motorcycles. Noise was recognized as a controllable pollutant. In the United States Noise Control Act of '72, funding cuts led to negligible enforcement. In an urban environment, of course, we all agree to put up with certain levels of necessary noises. But the extremes are hard to bear. Like, for instance, the leaf blowers banned in Santa Monica because they cause both air and noise pollution. When I got my pilot's license, my instructor preferred the Hawthorne Airport, because the training area was safer and less invasive in a more industrial area. Now I live here in Venice, and I'm constantly a victim to not just the fear, but the noise pollution of these training pilots in a large residential area. Not only are they dangerous on several major levels, the crashes too recently, the lead still in the fuel, the practicing of stalls over my home, which you saw, but they are also destroying my peace and quiet with their noise. These little planes are really noisy. I live quite a distance from the airport, by Abbot Kinney and Palms. But very often we cannot even talk in our own backyard when we have friends over, or even just talk on the phone, or even just to each other. And the other day, my partner was very ill for 4 days. Indoors, even with earplugs, the noise from the planes would allow no sleep or rest. And besides, we don't all live with the TV on all the time. This happens on their whims, from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. I can only imagine the terrible effect on residents closer to the airport. I am against this airport also because Santa Monica gets all the revenue and we get all the pollution, noise, and fear. Let them fly over Santa Monica. If only those pilots could sit in our garden while they fly over and over and over again. Right now, it is quite sadistic.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Michael Kent, resident of Santa Monica. I was hoping that this was going to be a little bit more of an educational seminar, not one that is slanted at just simply closing the airport. For instance, the mouse studies that Dr. Fines presented indicated that there was 5 hours of ultrafine particles being subjected to that mouse for 3 weeks. I spent 2 hours in my car today, 45 minutes in congestion just getting over here, subjecting myself to ultrafine particles. They talked about being 75 meters away, yet what are we doing in our automobiles every day? We're 0 meters away. We're in that ultrafine particle environment, flume, if you will. It is important that we understand that automobiles are the largest source of lead pollution today. When they talked about 550 tons of lead produced by from the aircrafts, what they didn't mention was 136,000 tons are created by the automobile industry. And they're ignoring that fact, and that we really should be looking at banning lead from automobiles if we're going to be looking at alternatives. What are the alternatives, right? So the question becomes is, what the Santa Monica Council has said is that, the attorney has said that in 2015, FAA makes the rules, FAA determines the rulings, and that the courts uphold those rulings. Santa Monican residents have spent millions of dollars fighting the FAA instead of putting money towards education. Santa Monica residents are I don't understand why we take a left turn at Lincoln and fly over Venice. But we do, but if you look at the end of the Santa Monica Airport, there is a VOR. It's a navigation instrument that every airplane that comes in from the northern sector for LAX hits that point and then takes it and flies over Santa Monica and on around. There is an approach that flies along Pico and Ocean Park that isn't an approach for the right traffic. So it isn't solely on the Venice and Mar Vista side. I lived in the West LA for 15 years. I have lived now in Santa Monica for 10 years. But what you're not talking about is I just went to Wikipedia, and I'll be just briefly, the health effects of the diesel combustion, which, keep in mind, Jet A fuel, we're talking about two different kinds of fuel here. Jet A is similar to diesel. In fact, trucks can use Jet A fuel, so when we talk about the ultrafine particulates, this is what it says in Wikipedia. Diesel exhaust also contains nanoparticles, or the ultrafine, right? Since the study of detrimental health effects of nanoparticles is still in its infancy, the full extent of negative health effects from nanoparticles produced by all types of diesel are unknown. I hope that Dr. Fine at this point can educate us. And last but not least,
you could start wrapping up. That'd be great.
I will wrap up very well. Is that there are alternatives on the future. So we have synthetic jet fuel that's being developed. We have jet biofuels. Since Virgin Atlantic has flown its 747s on jet biofuels that don't have these problems, and there are unleaded fuels that are in the works, Jet 80LL, right? And also the airplanes that are going to be flying on auto fuel. So there are positive things that are happening, and that's what the kind of things I was going to hope that was going to come out from this seminar, but it isn't happening, and that's very disturbing that we're not looking at what's on the horizon and what is possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Hello, I'm Walt Davey, and I've, as a pilot, flown out of Santa Monica since the early 1970s. And I have to say that I am probably the only person you've met that's flown out of Santa Monica Airport lead-free. And the problem is that I flew lead-free for 20 years out of Santa Monica Airport using auto fuel approved by the FAA until all of a sudden the California State Legislature put alcohol in auto fuel, and the FAA immediately sent out a bulletin that's poisonous to piston aircraft. So all of us lead-free people had to go back to leaded fuel. Therefore, about half of the leaded fuel used in California is directly the fault of the California State Legislature. Ted Lieu, I sent you a letter about this on August 18th. Did you receive that letter?
If you sent it, I probably did.
Okay. Did any of you or your staff read that letter?
My staff probably did.
I sent you an email about that last week, and you probably didn't. Well, what needs to happen in the immediate term is a law similar to the law in Washington State, which has given both aircraft and marine interests access to unleaded, alcohol-free fuel. And if you could do that, Senator Lieu, that would be a marvelous action item. The same is true of marine interests. Alcohol fuel has damaged any number of marine engines. Would you please get us some clean fuel? And as a matter of fact, this entire meeting can be summarized in just 2 words: anachronistic fuels. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. We will look into that.
I hope so.
Hi. Good evening. My name's Steve Suri. I'm a resident of West Los Angeles. I'm a proud pilot at Santa Monica Airport for over 25 years, and I learned to fly at the flight schools there. I'm also with the Santa Monica Airport Association, and I'm based on our last couple of speakers here. I'm glad to see that there's some balance to the meeting tonight. I just have a couple of questions for you, Senator Lieu, and for this format. You know, at the end of the meeting, before we started the public commentary tonight, we had residents from Venice, West Los Angeles, and so on that made their presentations, which, the way I read what I heard from them, were pretty much against the Santa Monica Airport, and they testified as witnesses, which is fine. I'd like to know in the future, if there's another meeting like this, could we have the opportunity for other spokespeople, witnesses, so to speak, again, to make presentations perhaps on the other side of the issue relative to the airport? I think the gentleman from Santa Monica that spoke a few minutes ago was very accurate in saying there are many things on the horizon that the FAA, the City of Santa Monica, the fuel manufacturers are looking at to mitigate many of these concerns. And I think through a cooperative effort, the airport can continue to operate as well as, you know, satisfy, I'm not going to say all, but some of these concerns. My question for you, Senator Lieu, is did you initiate recently another impact or environmental impact study relative to the lead content in aviation gas, specifically relative to Santa Monica Airport? I
did not.
I thought you had called for another.
In assembly, I did that, but I did not do that this year. And if you could wrap up your presentation, that'd be great. And the answer to your question is yes.
You did?
No, yes, that we will have another hearing. We will invite pilots to speak.
Okay, one last suggestion. You know, since all the focus seems to be on Santa Monica, I'd like to see some comparative data for Torrance Airport, for perhaps Long Beach Airport. Both of those airports operate within residential areas. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, please. By the way, just know Torrance Airport, just to let you know, bans jet fuel. All right, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Ernst, and some of the studies were done in my backyard. And I live approximately my back door is approximately 337 feet from jet blast. One thing I did want noted is the blast fence at the east end of the runway crests 1 foot below the runway. And since we're below it, you can't see the runway anymore, but the planes are still there. And the reason that was put up is because of the blast was so strong from departing jets that were holding at the end of the runway, and that they were blowing over fences and furniture. So I don't think an additional blast fence is going to do anything for the fumes. I had a worker at my house last Wednesday and took the day off. There was a continuous flow of jets, and the fumes were ghastly. He said, how on earth can this be legal? How can they expect people to live within this environment? And I said, you know, there's one thing that I would like to see done, and that is an executive order signed by the president to close the Santa Monica Airport due to its uniqueness. There is no other airport in the country, according to the FAA, that it exists like Santa Monica Airport, where the planes are abutted against a residential community. And on that merit alone, I feel very strongly there's no other solution other than to find a way to close it all together.
Hello, my name is Margarita Alvarez, and I'm on the Venice Neighborhood Council Airport Committee, but I'm speaking on my own behalf. First, thank you for this hearing. I believe this hearing is important because Venice, Mar Vista, and West LA don't have a voice in airport matters. We do not have a representative on the Santa Monica Airport Commission, and I feel that that's unfortunate because we're the ones being affected by the airport. So it's unfortunate. I've lived in Venice since 1974, and I attended all the local public schools. So I am a local, and I like living here. I like the weather. But one thing I don't like are the airplanes that are constantly flying over my home. I feel that, especially when they're practicing pattern flying, it's unfortunate because there are times when we have about 30 seconds in between the noise. So it's a constant noise. In addition to that, I remember when I was a little kid, we used to, in class, the teachers would have to close the doors or talk louder in order for us to understand our lectures. So I can only imagine what the kids in our local public schools are going through. That, and also when they're out and playing PE, I mean, they're directly exposed to not only the noise, the ultrafine particles and black carbon, but the lead as well. So what we determined, we did a short study, and we determined that there are about 16,000 students and about 80 schools in the local West LA area close to the Santa Monica Airport. So really, my recommendation is as follows. I really want the airport to close. I want it to close because of the effects it's had on the neighboring communities, the health, the well-being, the quality of life of our neighbors. But in the meantime, I would like the following. I would like that for us to have a more equitable flight distribution pattern between Santa Monica and Venice, so that not all the planes are flying over Venice. I would like to close all the flight schools since a large majority of the planes come from the flight schools. I would like to push for alternative fuels. Also, if you could please look into the noise complaints that residents have given the airport. I feel that those complaints aren't going anywhere. So I'm hoping that that will give you a better idea of the complaints on the Venice and West LA side.
Thank you. If you could please wrap up, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. And if the witnesses could try not to repeat others, that'd be great. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Yael Gers, and I am a third generation. My grandparents were one of the first homeowners in Mar Vista when our area was built. I happen to be in double jeopardy because I live right by the Santa Monica Airport, and I'm a physical education teacher, so I am outside all day, and I have to stop talking and point at the planes when they are going by, which has been increasing enormously. I started teaching in 2001, and so after 9/11, there were no planes, and then they've been getting more and more. So basically what I would like to know is if I live in Mar Vista, how much of the sky up in front of my house and above my house is mine? So do we have a right to say, we don't live in Santa Monica, you can't fly in our area because this belongs to us?
The FAA controls that.
Okay, all right. My second question is, can we, and I don't know, I didn't quite get from the studies, how far up an airplane needs to be to dilute all of those particles before it gets to us? So, for example, where I teach school, where we're directly under a flight path, if they had to go out to the ocean, I happen to be under LAX, if they go out to the ocean and then land, would that save my students?
No, I don't know the answer to that question, but my staff can talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
And if you could wrap up, that'd be great.
Yes. So basically, when all our families bought in the Mar Vista area back in 1949, 1950, the airport did already exist. My grandparents knew that when they bought it, but they have just kept increasing what flies there. So if they wanted to go back to what was flying in 1947, 1949, when those homes were being built, okay, let's talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Good evening. My name is Sergei Ryazantsev, and I'm research scientist at UCLA Medical School for 18 years. and I'm 18 years resident of Santa Monica and 10 years living under the fly path near airport. And I have to wash my plants, including citrus trees, with warm soapy water every 3 months to remove black material which accumulates on the plants, so to let plants be alive. And I could eat fruits, because otherwise you couldn't eat mandarins. But what bothers me, actually, based on all these discussions, there is a huge kind of discrepancy between what scientists find regarding airport air quality, whichever it is, and official governmental reports which we have. And yesterday I spent approximately 4 hours analyzing this report, which is Development and Evaluation of Air Quality Model and Approach for Late Emission. It's actually, we had presentation from Dr. Hong today. And it's around 100 pages report. So out of 100 pages, I was managed to extract some information which, in my opinion, is actually truthful from scientific point of view. And it's only 2 pages. And I wanted just to present to you this extraction. Because what bothers me is that data is contradict to conclusions. Conclusions not related to scientific data presented in the report. This is my problem, because I'm a scientist. So what I find, a couple of numbers very quickly. So they basically spent a lot of time counting how many cars are driving around the airport. If you totally calculate, it's apparently 27 million cars per year around Santa Monica Airport. 27 million cars per year produced, according to the report, 0.04 kilos of lead, which is accumulated in this area. At the same time, propelled aircrafts, which is 90,000 aircrafts per year, produced 120 kilos of, let's say, lead in the same area. So 0.04 versus 120. So this is the difference between impact of cars and airplanes. The reason why? Because every car has catalytic converter. No single aircraft has catalytic converter. Catalytic converter convert anything into the water and CO2.
So my understanding, what you're saying is there is a significant problem from lead from these piston aircraft, and the data contradicts the EPA's conclusion.
Based on their data.
Can you do me a favor? Can you put that in writing and email it to us, or send us a letter?
Yeah.
That would be very helpful.
I want to just...
And we'll actually send that to the EPA.
One more number, and I could give it to you. So then you could calculate how many people affected by this lead. So, and basically, the density of population in Santa Monica is 10,000 people per square mile. So it means that every person within 1 square mile radius around the airport exposed to approximately 10 grams of lead per year.
Okay.
So, and the norm, like accepted norm of lead in human body is 10 micrograms per liter, which is, okay, 5 liters, it's 50 micrograms per body, which is approximately 10 million times less than 10 grams of lead per year.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hello. My name is Ann Hawthorne. I'll be very brief. I live on property in Santa Monica under the flight path that my grandparents had a dairy on since 1920. And I just very much appreciate you, Senator Liu, for calling this hearing, and Councilman Rosendahl. It's fantastic. I personally feel, as a resident of Santa Monica, that the Venice and Los Angeles residents should absolutely be involved. There are many, many people in Santa Monica that want to close or reduce the airport traffic. And I personally feel that the Santa Monica city manager and the council has a little bit given up and abandoned the needs and wishes of the Santa Monica residents. And I hate to say that, but we all want to be a sustainable city, and I don't understand at all how a sustainable city fits with an airport that causes this much noise and air pollution. So really, my only thing that I wanted to say was Thank you very much on behalf of people in Santa Monica who also are upset about the airport, and I'm very happy to help support whatever I can to close it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
My name is Art Eisenson. I live about 4 blocks, I wish it was 4 miles, south of the runway. I think we've established that Santa Monica Airport is, in fact, a threat to our health. So that how can we being both the residents and we being our elected officials, become enough of a threat legally and financially to the city of Santa Monica, to the Federal Aviation Administration, to every manufacturer of every aircraft in and out of that place that produces damage to our bodies and our children's bodies and our neighbors' bodies, to the point where we can get them to change their goals. In other words, how can we ratchet up their expenses, their pressures, and their fears of prosecution, liability, or whatever it takes to get it done? They're not going to get personality transplants and say, you know, we've read the science and by gosh, we were wrong all along. They're not going to do anything until somebody basically hits them with a hammer and hits them damn hard. And what can we do to do that?
I find that this airport is horrific because although I don't live here in Santa Monica, I do have friends that live nearby, and I feel like although I'm not too affected that much, it affects my friends a lot, and some of them are beautiful girls that live around this area that I know of, and it affects them too because I don't want to hear about deaths of them, because since I sometimes do come out here and hang out with them and such like that, and hang out with my friends here, I don't want to hear about any problems that arise to them associated with the pollution just because of the airport it implements.
Thank you. If you could please wrap up, that'd be great.
Okay, and this kind of a thing, I just have a feeling that the best is just to get this airport to be closed down and gotten rid of. And it should be gotten rid of as soon as possible.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Hi, my name is Laura Shrewsbury, and I've lived in Venice for 20 years. And I live between Venice Boulevard and Washington Boulevard. And I never heard anything from the Santa Monica Airport. And then all of a sudden, about 9 months ago, they changed the flight pattern for the schools so that they started flying way south along Venice Boulevard. And so I started calling their hotline to complain about the noise, because as you've heard, what happens with this noise is you start a conversation with a neighbor and you just can't talk to anybody. So anyway, the amazing thing is now the planes are flying even further south. So the thing that is interesting about the Santa Monica Airport, in my estimation, is they take the information that they're being supplied with and they start to adjust flight patterns. For example, there was a chart that showed that the lead concentrations were very high right around the airport, which are because of the touch and goes, the planes that go around and round and around. They don't take off and just go high. They stay really low so that they're very invasive. Anyway, they've moved the leaded fuel planes further south, I believe, to begin to disperse those lead levels so that the reports, I mean, we're dealing with very smart people. They make money and they're in business. And they're taking our information and they're actually using it even more against us. Thanks.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Senator Liu, my name is John Castillo, and that's spelled C-A-S-T-I-L-L-O. I'm a disabled veteran. I live in Oakwood, sir, and with others, there's other disabled people who live in community. I live in Oakwood. That's a very poor area, And I had no choice because I'm disabled, I'm in a very limited income, and that's the only place I could afford. Apparently, the Santa Monica airplanes fly directly where I live at, and that's, I believe they do that because the area I live was very low income. We could not afford nothing at all. A lot of people that live in my block are disabled, also in disabled veterans, and they're very low income. And I talked to my disabled friends and my disabled community, and they came to the agreement that Santa Monica Airport should be closer. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to take the time to be here before you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, Valerie Davidson. I live in Mar Vista, right near the airport in Los Angeles County. I've lived there 20 years. I'd echo everybody else is saying about pollution, health, noise. We know the airport is a problem, and I feel that Santa Monica, the city of Santa Monica, the city council is not doing anything. I don't trust the FAA. I don't trust Santa Monica City Council. Basically, nothing's being done for the people in the area. They haven't even included Mar Vista, Venice, West LA in any of the discussions until the last year, it seems, when we've invited ourselves to their city council meetings. I'm glad you're on board with us. Thanks everyone for the presentations. Obviously, there's health issues here in Santa Monica. I would love to see the airport closed, in my opinion. I don't see anything else that we can do. They're finding all sorts of different ways on how to keep the airport open and the businesses running. Again, our LA County's not getting a thing from the airport. Santa Monica's making profit off of our health. Is this profit for Santa Monica, or are they concerned about our health care and the people living in the area? And I'm sick of all the different studies. One person says, yes, the lead is bad. No, the lead's not bad. Nobody's on the same page, and it's always contrary to whatever point of view you come with. If you're a pilot, oh, it's fine. If you're not, it's terrible. So I think there has to be a study done, and we have to get the facts have to be the facts, and that's that. There is no leeway.
Thank you.
It's killing us. Santa Monica Airport is killing the people in the area. That's all there is to it, and it needs to be closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator, thank you, and Bill, thank you very much for hosting this. Some of you know me. My name is Bill Kuntz. I'm on the Mar Vista Community Council. I represent Zone 2, which is the freeways, basically 10 and the 405, Centinela, and National. It's also called North Westdale. I'm also the president of the North Westdale Neighborhood Association, so I represent the area that is most impacted by the fumes and that type of thing. I came here, like a lot of people, because I kind of feel helpless sometimes. I know that there's lead coming down. I know that the jet exhaust has ultrafine particulate matters, but there's nothing that we can really seriously do about it. We can't go to the FAA and tell them to shut it down. They're not going to do that for us. So I want to talk about a couple different solutions and things that we in the room can start doing now to prepare for 2015 when there's a possibility that we may have some action taken. It's been pretty clear that the city of Los Angeles is probably not going to be invited to the table with the FAA and the city of Santa Monica to discuss the future of the airports, even though Los Angeles and the surrounding communities are most impacted detrimentally. So I'm urging you, I know it's going to be a federal issue, but I wonder if there's a way we can get a state representative at that table, possibly somebody who overlaps, district-wise. I'm not sure about the redistricting, or who might from the state be able to sit at that table with Santa Monica and the FAA. So I'm going to urge that maybe you kind of look into that. But things that we can do in the meantime, so Santa Monica is trying to do a number of different things. They're trying to find out what we would like to see happen, or what their constituents would like to see happen in the future with the airport in 2015. And so they have a visioning process. So I urge everybody to go onto their website and take a look at that and give them your honest comments about what you would like to see with that as a go forward. Also, if you live, and most of you here are actually involved with the airport already, so you know these things already. If you live in Venice, get a hold of the Venice Neighborhood Council. If you live in Mar Vista, get a hold of the Mar Vista Community Council. If you live anywhere, get a hold of Concerned Residents Against Airport Pollution, and they can help you, help yourself to kind of fight against what is killing us. That's basically it. I didn't have too many notes, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you again, Ted.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being here tonight. I'm Jim Plowden. I'm a 15-year resident of Mar Vista. My wife and her family have been here since 1946, and we are right around the area of National and Barrington. There's a very loose movement going on in the United States right now. That's called the 99%. They have different reasons for being in that organization or being a part of that movement. I think we also have a reason for being a part of that. We are the 99% in this neighborhood that are putting up with the 1% of the corporate elite and so forth that are flying over our neighborhoods, and we're, like Marty says, we're breathing their toxic soup and putting up with the noise. And I think it's time we need to take a stand once again. We are the 99%. And in a couple of weeks, there's going to be an open house at the airport. They're going to have this promotional thing to try to involve the community. I think we should protest again. Now, I'm getting too old to go occupy SMO. I don't want to go out and live in a tent, but I think we could at least get out there and protest one more time. And Bill's out there every single time. He's carrying a placard. I've seen him at every protest we've had. And of course, Marty has been a driving force behind this. And once again, I think we need to take a stand the day of that open house at the airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Senator and Councilman and staff. My name is John Murdoch. I live in Santa Monica. I lived actually from 1970 to 1982 in Venice, and I was right under the flight path, and I heard the planes, and I can attest they're not exaggerating. You have to stop talking. It's a nuisance. There's no question about it. Now I live in Santa Monica, and I'm supposedly the recipient of all this wealth from the airport. I don't see it. I don't know where it goes. But let me tell you, when they did that change in the flight path, the planes came right over my house. And I was on the phone, of course, to the airport complaining. So I'm one of those 40,000 complaints, whatever it is. But I support the notion that the flight path should be equitable. I think we should not throw it off to Venice. We should make Santa Monica, myself and the rest of us, bear the burden and complain more, because then we would all be together in what really needs to be done. I'm a lawyer. I'm very frustrated because filing a nuisance action is just not feasible at the present time, because I've listened to most of the experts, at least I came a little late, but even with your summary, Senator Lieu, you said there's a health hazard, but if you ask anyone to come to court and testify under penalty of perjury that this is a health hazard, they start to say, well, you know, we haven't really done the epidemiological studies to prove that. So what can you do? If I were in your position, the most important thing I heard was from a pilot, my friend Walter Davey. He told you very explicitly, there's two words, anachronistic fuel. You have the power under state law to change the fuel. Now, this industry is run by money. They will never stop what they're doing until there's a change in the financial picture. One person said, you know, put the pressure on, sue them. As he said, it took 13 years just to get a settlement on an obvious case of discrimination. It would take longer fighting the FAA. But if you make it a law that they have to use clean fuel, where's the fight? They might take you to court, but how can they win over that? I mean, let's look back at this industry. We all think, you know, flying is a lot of fun. It used to be a lot of fun. And, you know, we might all like to be pilots. It's like the days when the automobile was young. It was just, you know, let's get our goggles on and go out in cars. Well, we regulated the cars. We changed the fuels. The industry did come around, and they're still coming around. They're coming up with cleaner fuels, and they're coming up with different hybrids, and they're responding specifically to law. So if Washington, the state of Washington can do it, why can't we? What's the impediment to just going back to clean fuels? That would at least tackle one of the problems. The other problem, the other two problems are really even harder. The noise problem, I think you'd have to look into regulating the decibel levels of the planes. Why can't they be quieter? Even piston planes. I mean, come on, we're not talking about rocket science, are we? We're talking about piston planes and technology that could be used. There's got to be a less noisy way to fly a plane. If we can ban leaf blowers in Santa Monica, why can't we ban noisier jets and planes?
Thank you. If you could start wrapping up, that'd be great.
Yes, the third issue is, of course, safety, and I don't have any real word to say about that, but that's, I think, still a burning issue with planes flying out of the sky. So I really support your efforts to help us, and I hope you look at that fuel situation. Thank you.
Next witness, please.
I'll make this one short. I'm Kitty Pease. I moved into Mar Vista. Thank you. About 35 years ago, and within a few years developed asthma for the first time in my life, and I've had it ever since.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Hi, my name is Marion Klein. I'm honored to be here and to speak with you. I have three things. One, about a year and a half after I moved into my house, which is in Northwest Dale, I had to put in a complete filter system in my house because I started developing all kinds of lung and chronic and stuff, and I'm a healthy person. That was, I am, because of all those filters in my house. This summer I had the opportunity to spend a little time in my backyard, and I really got whiffs while I was back there thinking, you know, this is the place I was going to retire when I bought it in '99. And so all of a sudden I'm thinking about maybe not. And that really makes me sad. I love my house. I work at Richland Avenue School. I've been getting those whiffs at Richland Avenue School for also all of that time. I actually worked at Richland. That's how I found my house, longer than since '97. But I have two things that really were outstanding to me in my head as this presentation has taken place. I'll go with the second one first. Senator Lieu, you said that Torrance Airport has banned jet fuel. So why can't Santa Monica Airport do that?
They probably could.
Okay, so I would say that's something that seems like it could be a relatively easy thing to at least get started with. The other thing that really struck me was Marty's drawing, where the line for West Los Angeles goes through the runway.
Yeah.
I looked at that and went, well, chop that puppy up. I mean, I am like, okay, this is Los Angeles. You get to stop the runway at the end of Santa Monica. That would shorten the runway, and guess what they can't do after you do that? So, I mean, it's a joke, but it's serious. There's something going on there, right? We own part of that airport.
Right.
So all this time I'm thinking it's Santa Monica Airport, and Santa Monica owns it. That's not true, is it? So I think that's another piece of wiggle room there that we have to take some power.
Thank you.
Anyway, and I really appreciate both of your efforts. I love both of you guys. I've been voting for both of you guys since I moved into the area, and I'm really pleased with this, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you.